Man, I wasn't recording this. Anyway, I knew some people were going to get out of sorts with it. Of course, our guy that has been dormant now for I don't know how long, I call him the racist hater. He is, I mean, we know who it is. His name is Chip Evans, and you have to watch out because he builds all of these different Facebook and YouTube identities. He has tons of accounts, and he's been doing this for years. And just about anything I say or do, he jumps on there with some kind of idiotic remark. Sometimes he will pose as an identity of someone who is from the South, a white person from the South, and he will, I'm not kidding you, he will post comments on there to try to make it look like I'm a racist. And he'll say, and he said on this one, I think it was taken down, he said, yeah, I'm one of them good old white boys like Hoggard is, and we want him and his family to learn how to shoot to kill all them black people that are around in this country. That's the kind of stuff he comes. I'm not kidding you. And sometimes he uses certain racial epithets. So he left a comment here on YouTube, and somebody took it down. But I recognized it as him as soon as he put it up there. And he does that all the time. One time he called our office here posing as someone who was calling from, let's see, was it the Southern Poverty Law Center or, no, the NAACP. The NAACP was calling from Lansing, Michigan, and I've been to Lansing before, was calling from Lansing that the police had to come and arrest some white people who were out spray painting racial slurs on the building of the NAACP. And I'm thinking, what does that have to do with me? And the guy was saying that when they interviewed the people, when the cops caught the people and interviewed them and asked them why they were doing that and what they thought they would accomplish, the people allegedly said, well, we watched Mike Hoggard on YouTube, and he told us that we should come and do this. And as soon as he said that, I went, oh, dear. Man, I feel bad about this. Is there any way I can talk to your supervisor? Click. So I knew it was him. He has he's gone to people who have YouTube channels and told them that I said these particular people, whoever he's talking to, were racist, and that they were bad people, and that they, if he's contacted one guy that was a black guy, and he had a YouTube channel, and he had some kind of compound. I'm not kidding you, somewhere in Tennessee, and he contacted this guy and told him that I had made a YouTube video about him and made remarks about him, and called him the N-word and called all kinds of stuff. So this guy gets on his YouTube channel and makes a video about how I'm an idiot. And I found out what compound he belonged to, some weird, wacky thing. And I called the guy. And I said, do you know who this is? He said, no. I said, this is Mike Hoggard. He said, oh, really? And I said, yeah, I understand that you made a video about me. And I said, have you ever heard me say anything like that? And he said, no, I was told that you did, though. I said, well, all you have to do is go on my YouTube channel and go through all the like 3,000 or 4,000 videos that I have on there and find out which one I said it, because I guarantee you I never said it. I didn't even know who you were until somebody notified me a while ago that you had made a video about me. And I told him, explained the situation. Well, he graciously made a retraction of that YouTube video he made, and he took it down. Another guy, this was a white guy, this racist hater guy calls or gets in touch with this white guy. He's got a YouTube channel, and this guy just goes off the rails, blasting me and just chewing me up. So I wrote a comment under that video. I said, you've been had, buddy. I said, you fell for it. And I named the guy. His name is Chip Evans. I named him. I said, this Chip Evans goes around posing under different identities, and he stirs up grief on me. And I said, you just showed, I wasn't nice about it. I said, you just showed your ignorance by running your mouth about me when you have actually no proof whatsoever that I said anything about you. And I said, to be honest with you, this is the first time I ever knew that you existed. He never published a retraction. I think he just took the video down. But anyway, I mean, this is what the guy does. And so just about anything I do, if you see it on Facebook or you see it on YouTube and there's some kind of ridiculous comment on there, that's probably him. All right? Just letting you know. But anyway, I appreciate all the nice comments people made about Michaela, our granddaughter. She came over to our house because she wanted to shoot. She said, Papa, can I shoot? Oh, yeah. Come on out to the house. We tried to get her, we tried to help her shoot where she lives here by the church, but people kept complaining because we were shooting cars going down the street. No, just kidding. But anyway, somebody commented about how irresponsible it was that she handled this gun, because obviously she's not had any training. And I'm going, what do you think I'm doing? I'm training her. I'm teaching her how to load the gun by not loading it myself. I'm teaching her how to, and that was the first time she ever shot a 12-gauge shotgun. And for her to not fall down was just amazing. So somebody was criticizing her stance, and she needs to do this, she needs to do this, and I did combat training. Well, she hasn't. She's got grandpa training, all right? And she'll be a deer hunter. I guarantee you, she'll be a deer hunter, all right? Anyway, good to be with you today. I'm going to do, well, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to give you a preview of something. Let me find the video here. I finally did it. I mentioned it Tuesday. I finally did it. I collected a bunch of clips, video clips, and I put them all together. And let's see here. Where is that video? Where is that video? Oh, come on now. Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I don't find it. Where did it go? Huh. Well, ain't that something? I know I rendered it. I had to have. Let's see here. Type. Oh, here we go. I think this is it. Yeah, this is it. I'm going to give you just a preview. And then we're going to continue what we started talking about the other day. This is the good one right here. This is one of the good ones. Actually, I'm going to show you two of them. This will freak you out. Okay? Get ready to get freaked. All right? These two clips, the first one is not that one, but this one here. This little girl, there's a nanny cam in the kitchen. This little girl is talking to something. And it's something that obviously she can see. And she's got, looks like a box of cereal here and a little lunch box in her right hand. And apparently she is saying something about the cereal she has in her hand. And she holds it out. Something grabs it and tries to get it out of her hand. And you literally see her fight against whatever this is that she can see and talk to. So let me hit it for you. She sees something. She's talking to it. You want some of my cereal? She holds it out like, and it's, look at that. She's fighting against something. That's weird. And she's obviously saying, no, you can't have it. Watch it again. Boom, look at that. Took her off balance. Watch the little box she's got in her right hand. Same thing. Now, did you see it move? Now, you can't see what she sees, but you watch her eyes. She can see what we can't see. Watch. See it? Now it's going to grab the box, and she fights against it and says no and walks off. Here's a close-up again. Watch her actions, her body be pulled forward, because she's not, a 2-year-old, they don't let go of stuff. It's mine, Jack. Now watch her eyes. Okay? All right, now, this one. It's already there, but you can't see it. Or you may not notice it. Okay? Somebody took a photograph because they were hearing noises coming from whatever this is. And we're going to get a close-up then. Somebody posted this on Facebook. We're going to get, or Reddit, I think. And we're going to get a close-up of it. Now, do you see anything? If you're looking at the TV, you're looking at the wrong thing. Look at the mirror to the left. Wait for it. Oh, see it? Look at that. Now, just so you'll know, let me go back to this. Human eyes do not reflect light. Animal eyes do. Deer, squirrel, turkey, possums, raccoons, snakes, cattle, any kind of animal that is used to seeing in the dark. There's something different about their eyes that gives them the ability to see in the dark, but that also then is what reflects when you shine a light into them. Human eyes do not reflect that way. But there is something there, small, childlike, in that mirror. And generally, you can't see these things. I won't say always you can't see them, because some people do. You can't see them with the naked eye. I'm good. Yeah. Ugh. This one, I'll show you this one, and then we'll move on, okay? This is just a TikTok video of a kid. I guess his brother fell asleep, or his dad or something like that, and he looks into his phone and he sees that there is a very, very pale, evil face laying there. And I will tell you, I have close to a dozen videos of either this exact entity or one that looks very, very similar to it. This is not just a one-off thing. So I'm pausing, the video to get a better picture of it, and you'll see that when he moves the camera over it, that's gone. It's not there anymore. And I'm just, okay, this stuff, people, is real. Now, my theory on this is that with the advent of digital cameras, and even with film, there are some film pictures of this, including movie, motion picture, but especially with the advent of digital video and digital photography. The CMOS chip, which is the chip primarily in a digital camera, whether it's a still camera or it's a video camera or a combination of both, that CMOS chip, it takes in bands of light and it converts those bands, the color, the size, and so on, into digital information. And that digital, it's zeros and ones, and those zeros and ones are connected to, they feed onto an SD card, and they're stored there. When you view the image back, or when you play the video back, then whatever image that the CMOS chip captured is going to be on there. So a lot of times people will video a shadow or one of those creepy things or any number of things, but they won't see it with their eyes. Our eyes are limited. We know that we can't see things that, say, dogs can see or different animals can see, just like we can't hear certain high frequency or certain low frequency sounds, but certain animals can. So I believe that with the advent of digital photography, people are now seeing, I got a missed call. People are now seeing that there are things there that never used to be there before. There is a famous, people call it a UFO picture. This goes back years ago. A guy had his children out, I think this was in England, and he had them out in a pretty green field and was taking pictures. They were thinking they were having like a picnic or something like that, and his daughters were there, cute little dresses, and he takes a picture of his daughter, and later on he takes another picture. Well, in the first picture, there's nothing there. The second picture he takes, and he doesn't see it until he gets the film developed. And he's looking at through the pictures, and he sees that there is this big, tall, humanoid-looking thing. It looks like a man standing there facing away with some sort of like astronaut suit on. And it's like, he's like, where did this come from? They've analyzed the film. People have analyzed the negatives. There's not anything that he did to make this thing show up on there. This is way before Photoshop, way before computer, imagery. And but the thing is there. and he says, it wasn't there when I took the picture, I would have went, what is that doing there? So I do believe that a lot of paranormal activity is being seen. And you see it consistent. Like I said, I've got probably close to a dozen, and that's just capturing for one day, images of this pale face, I call it. And then about as many or more of what I call the shadow people. They're just shadows. They have the form of a human, or in one case, it's actually like the form of a beast. But no face, no, it looks like it has clothes on, but there's no, you can't see any fabric, can't see any buttons or anything like that. It's just a shadow. And so I will be doing that next Tuesday for Pastor Mike Online. You won't want to miss it. Now, this is where we left off on Tuesday. I haven't talked about this in a while, just been talking about so many other things, but let's go back now and visit this. Remember, this is what Jesus said, Matthew 24, and he is warning about things that are coming. And now, for those who are of a, let's say, maybe a dispensationalist viewpoint or a hyper-dispensationalist viewpoint, you will not agree with me on Matthew 24. There's no way that I will convince you, no way you'll convince me, and so we'll just leave it there, all right? But I don't believe that Matthew 24 is only intended for Israel. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense because Jesus clearly is describing when he says in verse 29, or verse 30, there shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven. Well, when Jesus went up into the air, the two angels came and they stood by the disciples and said, Ye men of Galilee, why stand ye gazing up into the heavens? For this same Jesus shall so come again in like manner. Well, how did he go up in the air? He went up in a cloud. And so the angel said he's coming back in the cloud. Jesus himself says that. He says it also in Revelation chapter 1. Behold, he cometh with clouds. That's the preeminent sign of Jesus coming back to receive us, is that he's coming in the clouds. Paul said it in 1 Thessalonians 4. The Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, with the trump of God. The dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up together with them in the clouds to meet the Lord in the air, and so shall we ever be the Lord. So it says right there that Christ is coming, and we're going to meet him in the clouds with the dead in Christ. So he's coming in the clouds. Here, that's what he says. He said he's coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory, and shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet. Behold, we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed in a moment, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trump. For the trump shall sound, the dead shall be raised incorruptible, and we shall be changed. He shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect. Now, some people like to say, well, the only people referred to as the elect is Israel. Well, that's not really true, is it? If we do this, elect, that will get elect, election. Oh, let's see here what our buddy Paul said. Who shall lay anything to the charge of God's elect? It is God that justifieth. Who is he that condemneth? Romans 9:11, for the children being not yet born, neither having done any good or evil, that the purpose of God according to election might stand, not of works, but of him that calleth. Romans 11 does refer to Israel. Even so, then, at this time, present time, there's also a remnant according to the election of grace. See, even that says election of grace, not works. Romans 11:7 then says that we have what Israel doesn't have. What then? Israel hath not attained that which he seeketh for, but the election hath obtained it, and the rest were blinded. As concerning the gospel, they are enemies for your sakes, but as touching the election, they are beloved for the Father's sake. Colossians 3:12, put on therefore as the elect of God. If we're not the elect, there really is nobody else in the Bible other than those whom God elected, both Jew and Gentile. Knowing, brethren, your election of God. We have the elect angels. Therefore, I endure all things for the elect's sake, Paul said. Who's it for? Us. Paul to Titus, elect and the acknowledging of the truth, which is after godliness. Peter, elect according to the foreknowledge of God. The chief cornerstone is elect. The church that is at Babylon, elected together with you. Make your calling and election sure. The elect lady, the elect sister. Clearly, we're the elect. Anyway, he says he shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. And in Mark, he says it, I believe, as from one end of heaven to one end of earth, or something like that. Let's see here. Where is that? Where is that? No, there, not there, not there. And those suns shall be darkened, stars of heaven shall fall. Then shall see the sign of the Son of Man coming in the clouds with power and great glory. And then shall he send his angels and shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from the uttermost part of the earth to the uttermost part of heaven. That's the Lord appearing in the air. So, since that's the case, back to Matthew 24, these things occur, verse 29, immediately after the tribulation of those days. Now, again, I'm going to say this. I do not see in the Bible, I can see it when I read somebody's prophecy book, but I can't see it in the Bible, that this tribulation is 7 years. It's just not there. You don't see any period of 3.5 years referred to as the elect or the tribulation. Now, you see periods of 3.5 years in the book of Revelation. You see that. But at no time does the Bible stamp that with that title, tribulation. Man did that. But the Bible doesn't. So I can't lick that and stick it on the label of tribulation if God hasn't already done it. Call me whatever. But that's what I see. So, heaven and earth, and let me say something else too. In fact, let me put this on the screen. I'm not trying to be a know-it-all. If anything, I'm a dumb-it-all. Okay? I don't think I know much of anything. But I know what the Bible says. Let's see here. Look at verse 33. So likewise, when ye shall see all these things, know it is near, even at the doors. Verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. Now, various people, I've done it, have tried to identify what this generation is. they've referred to a verse in the Psalms. I like this verse because my dad passed away at 70, and I tell people he lived just as many years as the Bible said. In that verse, David says, teach us to know our days. That man, I'm paraphrasing here, shall live 70 years. And, if God is good to him, paraphrasing again, then 84 years? Let me pull that up. Well, it ain't in, I bet it ain't 70. I bet it's 70. I bet that's what it is. No, it's not even that. Did I get that? Is it there? Come on. Ah, here we go. Verse 9, for all our days are passed away in thy wrath. We spend our years as a tale that is told. The days of our years are 80 years and 10. And if by reason of strength they be 80 years, 80. Yet is their strength labor and sorrow, for it is soon cut off and we fly away. Now, there's no mention in this verse that that's a generation. Remember, people, they used to look at 40 years as a generation. Somebody randomly picked 40 years as what God means by a generation. And so they started counting off the years from the year that Israel became a nation. So they figured by 1987 it'll be all over with. Well, that didn't happen. And then they extended it then to 70 years. And so by 2017, it was all supposed to be over. Or then 2018, and it was all supposed to be over. It's yet more predictions that God really told us, don't worry about it, don't do it. And yet people do it. I did it. But then God said, Mike, how about if I distract you and show you some other things to spend time on? Oh, that'd be great. And I haven't done it in years. And when I say years, I mean like 20 some odd years. I have not looked at, nor focused on, nor tried to study what year we're going to be called up. Let's see here. I think there's a verse that says, a seed shall serve him. Psalm 22:30, a seed shall serve him, and it shall be accounted to the Lord for a generation. So, if anything, a generation refers to a seed group. So, back in Matthew 24, if we apply that, then it makes sense. Or it actually, it helps us understand it better. He says, verily I say unto you, this generation shall not pass till all these things be fulfilled. A generation is, we have my mother's generation and my father's generation. They came from at a different time. They lived in a different time. And they will pass away. My father has. At some point, my mother, I doubt that my mother will outlive me. When she passes away, God forbid, but when she does, then that generation will be over. We label certain generations in this country. We have the World War II generation. Tom Brokaw called them the greatest generation. Well, when they all come back from the war, there was a population explosion. There was a baby boom. Why? Because all these million soldiers were coming back, tired of war, ready to settle down to a nice, decent American life, get a job, marry a wife, pop out a few children, get you a car, go on vacations, and all that stuff. And that's what they did. So then there was the baby boom generation, which my father was part of. He was born in 1941. That generation is dying off. The World War II generation, there's very few guys left. Very few that fought in World War II. My uncle was one of the last in his area, the funeral. I talked to the funeral home. Anyway, the baby boom generation, and then the children of the baby boom, that's my generation, born in the late 50s, 60s, early 70s. That generation is sort of my age, thereabouts. I produced a generation in the late 80s, early 90s. Then you have the, what was it, the Y2K generation, and then the Generation X, born after 2000, Generation Y, I don't know why, born after them. So we label these different generations of parents and then their children and then their children. When God said something to the effect of the third and fourth generation, he didn't ascribe a time to it. He said that the iniquity of the fathers, that's one generation, shall be visited upon the second generation unto the third generation. So the sins of the father passed down to his son, passed down to his son, passed down to the fourth generation, his son or daughter. That's a generation. This generation that lives at this time, and their seed, meaning their DNA structure, will not pass until these things be fulfilled. Now, what's coming after that generation? A new breed, a new human, Homo novus, they called it. Homo nexus is actually an interesting way to put it, because a nexus is a connecting point or a crossing point between two objects or two roads. That's a nexus. So when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, that generation was Homo nexus. They were the combination or the joining together of these angels that left their first estate, came down to the earth. And I was thinking about this this morning on the way over. You know, the words of the Bible mean something. And I was pondering Genesis 6. I don't know what made me think of it. But what is the past tense of the word take? What is that? Not taken. Taken is a present tense showing a state of being. Where are they? Well, they have been taken. They are taken. Taken away. The past tense of take is took. And I'm not sure then if these wives were all in cahoots with the sons of God. it says that the sons of God saw the daughters of men that they were fair, and they took them wives, of all which they chose. So maybe the women were willing participants, but it's certain that they had no choice in the matter. That whenever these angels saw a woman that they liked, they took them. Now, let's talk UFOs just for a minute, because I will end up there. One of the things that we absolutely know for sure about those who say that they have been abducted by night, or some cases by day, from these spiritual aliens that show up, one of the things that they say is, what gives them the right to just come in our house like a thief? There's a verse that says that. Like a thief. And just take us at will. They take us, they subject us to all these painful procedures. They violate our bodies. They think they can just wipe our minds so that we don't remember it and think that everything's going to be okay, but it's never okay. You have some people who are so desperate for this abduction to stop, they kill themselves. That doesn't sound like the actions of a benevolent race of whatever. Don't excuse them, because you get Stephen Greer and others who are so in love with these devils that Stephen Greer has this theory based upon what Rick Doty told him. Rick Doty was a counterintelligence officer. You really can't trust everything he says. But Rick Doty told Stephen Greer that, he told it on camera. This shows up in his video, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. I was rewatching it the other day. Rick Doty told Stephen Greer that sometimes, as a counterintelligence program, they would use people who had certain anatomical defects or differences, dress them up, and have them pose as aliens, go into a person's house at night, scare the daylights out of them, and make them think that they were visited by aliens, scare them to death. And Stephen Greer says that there really is no program from these entities to come and just take people out of their beds at night and perform all these procedures on them. Well, ask Betty and Barney Hill whether it was real or not. Ask, the guy in the Fire from the Sky. I can't remember his name. Travis Walton. Ask him if it really happened. Ask all of these people, the people that John Mack took in. He took in over 100 patients, all of whom said that they had been taken against their will. One guy, he's telling this now as an adult to John Mack, who's a Harvard psychiatrist. He's telling John Mack that he remembers as young as 15 years old, he was abducted. This female, obviously female alien, coupled with him multiple times before he was ever 18 years old. That's against the law in this country. Not allowed to do that. And, but clearly, coming in and taking people against their will. That doesn't sound like a very benevolent race that has our best interests in mind. It sounds more like those who work for various zoological entities around the world who go out into the forest, or they go into the savannah, or they go into some place, or they go to a lake or a river and they catch fish, or they catch certain animals and they tranquilize them and they do different tests on them and so on, and then release them back. And you have some people that say that that's just immoral. That's wrong to treat those animals that way. Well, science being science, they want to figure out how to help them, okay? And so that's how these things see humans, apparently, as just something to be taken. I mentioned to you that there's a verse in there. Joel, in describing his army of chapter 2, which is not the super Christians that Todd Bentley and the New Apostolic Reformation seem to believe. They call themselves Joel's army. It says here, where is it? A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the Garden of Eden before them, behind them a desolate wilderness. Yea, and nothing shall escape them. Nothing. The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen, so shall they run. That's Revelation 9. Revelation 9. Like the noise of chariots on the tops of mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as the strong people set in battle array. That's Revelation chapter 9. Before their face the people shall be much pained. All faces shall gather blackness. They shall run like mighty men. They shall climb the wall like men of war. They shall march every one on his ways, and they shall not break their ranks. Neither shall one thrust another, and they shall walk every one in his path. And when they fall upon the sword, they shall not be wounded. They shall run to and fro in the city, and they shall run upon the wall. They shall climb upon the houses. They shall enter in the windows like a thief. That's exactly what these entities do. So anyway, it's all about a hybridization program. And the Bible is telling us all the clues that we need to discern this. So we see in the Bible that seed equals DNA. There's no place in the Bible where you're going to read deoxyribonucleic acid. You're not going to see it. Seed is deoxyribonucleic acid. It is what makes every living creature on this earth, and God describes that seed is in a book, just like what we know now. Mark 4:14, the sower soweth the word. Well, the word here is our Bible, a book. Matthew 4:4, but he answered and said, it is written, man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of God. So in my generation of human being, I want all of the DNA that God gave me. I don't want any more DNA, and I certainly don't want any less DNA. I want the exact amount of DNA that God gave me. So, Psalm 139, thine eyes did see my substance, yet being unperfect, and in thy book all my members were written, which in continuance was fashioned, when as yet there was none of them. That's our DNA in God's book that he wrote. He's got the copyright on it. And he says to us, don't add anything to the words of the book. So the first time we see the word book in the Bible, Genesis 5, this is the book of the what? Generation. There's that word. And again, you know, it would be nice if we could find somewhere in the Bible that a generation was a specific number of years, but we don't. We just don't. It's just not there. Because the generations of Adam were completely different than the generations of Noah in as far as how long they lived. We clearly see that Adam all the way down to Lamech, they're living in excess of 900 years. But Noah, I think in the 600 year of his life is when the flood began. Noah lives for a while after that, but not really any longer than that. He doesn't make it to 900 years. And then by the time we get to Abraham, who was it? Sarah, I think, died at 127, something like that. Just in a few generations, the lifespan of humans has gone drastically down. And, we've kind of gone up from the life expectancy of, let's say, of the Dark Ages, but we're still not living 930 years. So this is the book of the generations of Adam, and it means his seed, his DNA. By the way, Adam lived 930 years. And some of you know this, the 930th chapter of the Bible is Matthew 1. Isn't that neat? The book of the generation of Adam, 930 years, takes you right to the book of the generation of Jesus Christ. Woo! Love it. This Bible is never wrong. It's never going to be wrong. It has God's order in it. It has his divine order in it. By the way, if you would like a copy of the books that I wrote on Bible numbers, if you don't have that, call our office, 636-931-3999, and order by divine order and the King James Code, and they'll send it out to you. It costs quite a bit more to make books than it does DVDs. Again, we don't charge anything, but it would be nice if you helped us out with our expenses, all right? Anyway, so we have the book of the generation of Jesus Christ, and it clearly denotes, when you read Genesis 5 and Matthew 1, you see the generation of Adam to Seth, to Enos, to, I can't remember who comes after Enos. But it clearly gives you the lineage. Matthew 1, the same thing. The book of the generation of Jesus Christ, the son of David, the son of Abraham. Abraham gave birth to Isaac. Isaac gave birth to... And it just gives you the lineage all the way down. It traces it through the line of Judah. So clearly a generation is referring to a seed. And seed is always in a book. So Revelation 22, for I testify unto every man that heareth the words of the prophecy of this book, if any man shall add unto these things, God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. So don't add DNA to your DNA strand. Don't do it. God shall add unto him the plagues that are written in this book. If any man shall take, see, notice that he mentions the word book. And if any man shall take away from the words of the book of this prophecy, God shall take away his part out of the book of life and out of the holy city from the things which are written in this book. What does God say he'll take away? His part out of the book of life. So to me, clearly, applying not only to the Bible, but to this mortal body, which was made by seed. We saw that Tuesday. To every seed, his own body. To every body from his own seed. It's my seed in me that makes my fingers the way they are, my skin the way it is, my height. Us Hoggards are big people. My sister's tall. I'm tall. My dad was 6'7". My sister's boys are 6'11" and 6'9". Don't mess with us. My son's 6'3". Don't mess with us, okay? Anyway. Now, notice this. The Lord, and we read this Tuesday. The Lord said unto the serpent, because thou hast done this, thou art cursed above all cattle, and above every beast of the field. Upon thy belly shalt thou go, and dust shalt thou eat all the days of thy life. And I will put enmity between thee and the woman, and between thy seed and her seed. What is the seed? It's a DNA type, and it's also an offspring of that DNA type. So, if the seed of the woman is Christ, literally Christ, the seed of the serpent will be Antichrist, literally his seed. Because we covered the issue Tuesday, do angels have DNA? Do they have seed? And clearly from 1 Corinthians 15 they do. To every seed his own body. There are celestial bodies, terrestrial bodies. The seed of the terrestrial is one, the seed of the celestial is another. Now, I don't know what their DNA looks like, or I don't know if it is DNA. It may be RNA. I don't know. But God said, don't mingle the two together. And that's exactly what they did. We see that Noah was perfect in his generations. What does that mean? His genes, his genetics were still human. All flesh, likewise, had corrupted his way upon the earth. So, for some reason, and by some mechanism, there seems to have been a massive corruption of genetics on the earth prior to the flood, which is why God not only destroyed the humans who sinned, but you would think, well, why did all the animals have to die? Well, the only answer I can come up with is, since it says all flesh corrupted his way, that somehow, some way, genetic modification had been done probably by these giants who had advanced knowledge, advanced skills, advanced intellect. They probably figured out a way to do it. In our generation, we figured out a way to do it, to alter the genetics of birds, mosquitoes, cattle, rice, things we eat. We figured out a way to do it. We figured out a way to do it easily. And so we live in the age of genetic modification, where mankind is on its way to corrupting all flesh once again, as it was in the days of Noah. Again, we don't know exactly how it was done, but we know it was done. When the Israelites send the spies into Canaan, remember, what did they come back with as proof that this land was absolutely something else, something to be seen? They come back, 2 men are carrying a cluster of grapes that's so big that it has to be carried by 2 men. What do you probably got grapes the size of basketballs there, or beach balls. Boy, imagine the wine that'll make. But they come back carrying this, and it's so remarkable to them that they name the place, I think it's Eshcol, because that means the cluster. They memorialized that by calling the place after the cluster of grapes that these two men brought back. Well, what was it about the land of Canaan that produces grapes the size of beach balls? Well, we don't really have an answer, except we have the presence, once again, of giants. I don't always read the comments. I was reading the comments from Tuesday's PMO, and somebody asked the question concerning the sons of God and daughters of men. Apparently, they didn't believe my answer, and they asked the question, so what? Did some of them had to have survived the flood? The giants meaning? No. The answer's right in Genesis 6:4. There were giants in the earth in those days, and also after that, when the sons of God came into the daughters of men, that children were born to them. These were mighty men of old, men of renown. So the Bible's just told you there. It happened before the flood in those days, and it happened after that, after the days of the flood. Because that's where you get Ar, and that's where you get Og, that's where you get Anak, and then all the sons of Anak. That's where you get them. God said in Leviticus 19, don't even try this. Don't even, in a normal fashion, don't gender your cattle with a diverse kind. Don't do it. He said you don't even sow your feed or your field with, and here he uses the word mingled. Mingled seed. That means you don't go out with a big hodgepodge of seeds, throw the seeds out, and so you've got a tomato plant here, an eggplant plant here, you've got okra stalk in the middle of them, and your whole garden just looks confusion, chaos, disorder. Remember, God is a God of order. And you could say, well, what harm is there in just putting all the seeds out all at once and, wait to see what grows? Well, God said, don't do it. And if nothing else, then you show forth the order of God, and you show forth man's ability to put things in order. Consider this. If I were to show you two fields side by side, one of them was a field that was planted by man. Let's say he planted corn in a field. And the other field just was, it lied fallow. No man had planted anything there. Nature planted everything there. Would you be able to tell the difference between a field that man planted and a field that nature planted? And I'm making a point here. Nature would be a female, mother nature. Mystery. Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and abominations of the earth. The word Babylon comes from the word Babel, which means confusion, chaos, disorder. So when you look at a field that nature planted, does nature ever plant trees in a straight row? Nope. It always just one kind of plant here, one kind of plant over here, another plant, one kind of grass here, one kind of grass there. You walk out into a field, you're going to probably walk through 20 or 30 different breeds of field grass, all different from one another. So that if you had to go through there and harvest a certain seed out of that field, you're going to have a hard time. And yet, when you look at the field that man planted, how does man plant corn? in rows, straight rows, perfect rows, equally spaced apart. That's how man does it. It's how man's been doing it for thousands of years. Okay? So you can tell the difference. I'll give you this. Let's say that instead of fields, you had churches. Would you be able to tell the difference between a church that was sown by Jesus Christ and a church that was sown by Babel? Would you be able to tell the difference? Yeah, absolutely. You'd be able to tell the difference. Simply by the lack of order in the church sown by Babel and the lack of chaos in the church sown by Jesus Christ. Yes, it makes a difference what spirit has sown the word. It makes a difference. So God said, don't even sow thy field with mingled seed, and don't even wear a garment of linen and woolen. Why not? Woolen is from sheep. Linen is from plant. God said, don't mingle them together. Not even on a coat do I want them mingled together. Okay? You should wear what my cousin called the two sisters, Polly and Esther. Now, look at this. Ezra 9. This was the problem that Israel faced, or Judah, when they came back from 70 years of Babylonian captivity. They did exactly what God told them not to do. When these things were done, the princes came to me saying, the people of Israel and the priests and the Levites have not separated themselves from the people of the lands and doing according to their abominations. Even the Canaanites, the Hittites, the Perizzites, the Jebusites, the Ammonites, the Moabites, the Egyptians, and the Amorites. For they have taken of their daughters for themselves and for their sons, so that the holy what? Seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Now think about what's being said here. This is a prophecy. This is not just a history. This is going to happen. Yea, the hand of the princes and rulers have been chief in this trespass. Remember what princes are? The holy seed have mingled themselves with the people of those lands. Now, God is clearly not a racist. Not even close. God doesn't hate one group of people because of their race. Not humans. He doesn't. So why did God have such a huge problem with the Israelites mingling themselves or getting wives from Canaanites, Hittites, Perizzites, Jebusites, Ammonites, Moabites, Egyptians, Amorites? Well, number one, they weren't God's people. They weren't of the 12 tribes. God even wanted, if you were of the tribe of Judah, you married someone from the tribe of Judah. We know that that one of the reasons is, and this is what a lot of scholars have derived, that he wanted to make sure that Christ came from the pure seed of Israel. Now, but apparently not exclusively. Because if you look in Matthew chapter 1, you see that clearly Jesus came from one of his ancestors was Rahab the harlot, who lived in Jericho. Remember when the two spies came into Jericho to spy it out, and they went to Rahab the harlot to ask her to hide them out, and she did? One of them boys thought Rahab was pretty good looking. And so it's like, sure, we'll save you. I'll save you. Okay? You just hang that scarlet thread outside there. I guarantee you'll be safe. And I'll tell you what, anybody that hurts you, I'll kill him myself. So she hung the scarlet cord out there, was saved. Her and her family was saved. And one of them boys married her. And she is like the great-great-great-great-great-great-grandmother of Jesus Christ. Now, so apparently it didn't have as much to do with that as it did possibly the idea, what we know from the spies, that all the people of the land of Canaan were giants, men of great stature. We also know that as these giants married and had successive generations, those generations became shorter. Og, his bed was 9 cubits and 4 cubits wide. But Goliath is only 6 cubits in a span. And Goliath, I think, is from the sons of Anak. So apparently they're getting shorter and possibly less identifiable. But one thing is for sure, that we're pretty sure God does not want mingled into the genetics of his only begotten Son, is that of these evil angels. He does not want that mingled in there. That we know. God said, look at this, Deuteronomy 7. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and hath cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites, the Girgashites, the Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and the Jebusites, 7 nations, greater and mightier than thou. Think of 7 heads of the beast, 7 devils that had Mary Magdalene, like the 7 chakras of Hinduism. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Again, God's not a murderer. He didn't kill innocent women and children. He killed giants. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them. Neither shalt thou make marriages with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son. 1, 2, 3, 4. No daughter marrying the son, no son marrying the daughter. So God clearly had a prohibition against this because of their genetics. And he said, you're not going to mingle that in with my people. Let's do this before I run out of time. Matthew 13. Not Malachi. Matthew, there we go. Matthew 13. The wheat and the tares. The kingdom of heaven is likened unto a man which sowed good seed in his field. Good DNA. But while men slept, his enemy came and sowed tares among the wheat. It looks like wheat, grows like wheat, is the same color as wheat while they're both growing, that is, green. But when the blade was sprung up and brought forth, then appeared the tares also. So the servants of the householder came and said unto him, Sir, didst thou not sow good seed in thy field? From whence then hath it tares? He said unto them, An enemy hath done this. The servants said unto him, Wilt thou then that we go and gather them up? But he said, Nay. Or maybe he said, Nay, lest we, while you gather up the tares, you root up also the wheat with them. We want God to destroy all the evildoers out of America. But in doing that, you might end up killing some good people too. So it's obviously not time yet, but it will be. Think of how you'll feel when God decides to just unleash hell onto this earth. And all of these things start coming to pass right in front of our very eyes. And then we start seeing people genetically altered. And those of us who know the Word of God are going to look at that and say, oh, I want no part of that. That is not, I'd rather die. I'd rather die than you alter my genetics. I'd rather do it. And so you're watching then the transformation of humankind into something totally. You're seeing man born again. But it's not of incorruptible seed, it's of corruptible seed. Okay? You're seeing that. You're watching loved ones do that. And in spite of all warnings, they give into it. And I believe at some point, those who are truly saved will say, you know what? That's your choice. You made it. I don't care if you're my husband. I don't care if you're my wife. I don't care if you're my children. I don't care if you're my mom and dad. I'm not going there, and I'm not doing that. And I may die for that. I'm prepared for it. Because I know that if I die, I have a city and a country waiting for me in heaven. And I'll never have to live on this nasty, evil earth ever again. And then the Lord will come back. So it tears them away. So anyway, he tells us then what the tares are. He that soweth good seed is the Son of Man. The field is the world. The good seed are the children of the kingdom. See how seed and children are connected? Those who have the incorruptible seed, God's going to do a DNA test. Okay? In order to determine who your father is, God's going to do a DNA test. And if your DNA comes up short, you're not going. If you voluntarily, mind you, because I don't believe all the scare tactics that guys like that Mike Adams and Anthony Patch out there scaring everybody to death, telling them that the COVID vaccine was the mark of the beast, and clearly now it wasn't. Seriously, it wasn't. It wasn't the mark of the beast. And you got scared. People scared you to death. You got emails. You watched videos on BitChute. And you said, oh, my goodness, the COVID vaccine is the mark of the beast. And they're going to make everybody get it. And I don't want it. And they're going to make us get it. They're going to force us to get it. No, they didn't. Nobody forced people to get it. Well, I was going to lose my job. Okay, get another one. There's plenty of jobs in this country. If we know anything, there's lots of jobs in this country. But the government didn't make you get one. They didn't come to your house with guns and a needle and say, we've got Satan's needle here. We're going to give it to you. We'll alter you forever. That never happened. So quit letting everybody scare you into thinking that if you eat another bowl of bran flakes that's been genetically modified, it's going to alter your DNA forever. Remember what is true about DNA in our bodies, that there are at least 10,000 cells in my body every day that end up with its DNA corrupted by something in this world. Sunlight, pollution and my goodness, I can't go outside, nor can I breathe, because it might alter my DNA. Your body has a mechanism in it to repair it. It either repairs it or it destroys it. I mean, what do we believe about this? Did God preserve it? Or did he allow it to fall into corruption? He preserved it. So don't you think that if God can preserve a book and the words of this book, that God hadn't already figured out a way for you to be able to maintain your own DNA? And so let's just for kicks and giggles, let's just say that, maybe that bread that you eat that's GMO, maybe it does have something in it that, alters your DNA. I certainly wouldn't tell you go ahead and eat it. But let's say you just didn't know. What I'm telling you is your body has the ability to repair what's been corrupted. Okay? God wouldn't allow his Holy One to see corruption. So, don't be afraid, people. Are you born again? If you are, then you have no reason to be afraid. God will not let it happen. He just won't. Okay? All right. Now, but the field is the world, the good seed are the children of the kingdom, but the tares are children, offspring, seed of the wicked one. There's our reference now to Genesis chapter 3. The serpent and the woman, there will be enmity between thy seed, tares, and her seed, wheat. A war, a fight, a clash, a schism. There's always going to be that in this world. You're always going to have to fight something to maintain who you are, what Christ made you. It's going to be about time to go, but look at this. The sons of Anak, sons of the giant, were offspring of someone who was already a giant. And look at this. Now, this is not the Lollipop Guild, okay? These are normal, upstanding human beings. They only reach up to the height of this giant's knees. Look in here. He's sitting on a throne that is a cage with lions in it. That's how big this king is. So what's this? Let's say this is 6 feet here. So let's say roughly 5 feet to here if he stands up. Let's say this is maybe about 4 feet. And the top of his head would be maybe another foot or two. So 6, 5 is 11, plus 4 is 15, plus another 1 to 2 feet is approximately 16 to 17 feet tall. No wonder the giants were kings. You don't think a man that stands 16, 17 feet tall and can carve, quarry, move, and set in place stones that weigh in excess of 1,000 tons. You don't think that they'll take orders from a little puny human, do you? Not a chance. Og was 9 cubits. Let me go through some of this. Here we go. A sword is upon, this is a prophecy. A sword concerning Babylon. A sword is upon their horses and upon their chariots. And upon all the mingled people that are in the midst of her, and they shall become as women. A sword is upon her treasures, and they shall be robbed. They're mingled people. How did they get mingled? Again, they had their seed mingled. The whole secret of Masonry is this is one seed. This is another seed. And Albert Pike, Albert Mackey, Manly Hall, they would all say the same thing on this. This represents the masculine, representing what's in the heavens. This represents the feminine, representing what is in the earth. And they are joined together, and they shall mingle themselves with the seed of men. There it is, sons of God, daughters of men. Every Masonic symbol is about that. Light divided from darkness. In the Masonic trestle board, here again, you have the compass and the square representing heaven joined with earth to produce G. A, B, C, D, E, F, G. 7. And the black and white trestle board, this is the sun, light. This is the moon, or darkness, and they are joined together to make the same floor. Everything in the Masonic Lodge spells union between what's in heaven, what's in earth. Even their spiral staircase. Yes. They say that in Solomon's temple, and that's, of course, in the Bible, Solomon's temple had a winding staircase. The one in Washington, D.C., the House of the Temple Lodge, it has 2 winding staircases. One has 23 steps going up. The other one has 23 steps going up, 46. This thing was built in the 20s and 30s, okay? But the winding staircase is DNA. The numbers 23 and 23 being 46 represent the human genome. And the different lodges. You have the Scottish Rite Temple and you have the York Rite Temple. The York Rite has 13 degrees. The Scottish Rite has 33 degrees. 33 plus 13 is 46. So it's all about DNA and mingling. I was going to say at the base of their winding staircase, they have 2 pillars. They refer to as Jachin and Boaz. Remember, Jachin was 23 cubits tall. Boaz was 23 cubits tall. But on top of the Masonic pillars, they have a pillar of the earth on one side and a globe of the earth on one side and a globe of the stars on the other, telling you that they're joined together. And the keystone is what holds them together. The keystone is what links them together, like the G in the middle of the square and the compass. It represents their offspring, what they produced. And if you think Christ was hidden well in the Old Testament so that the Jews really could not discern who it was, the Antichrist is hidden very well in the symbols, the rituals, the manners, the way Masons shake hands, the way witches, when they have their little magic get together, they have a ritual called the blade and the chalice. And at the end, the woman holds the chalice, the man holds the blade, and he sticks the blade in the chalice. That's all I'm going to say. Because the man in witchcraft is the horned god. A god with 10 horns. And the woman is the earth goddess. Mystery Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots. Oh, I'm tired. Thank you for letting me speak today. Thank you for joining with me today. You are the reason why we do what we do. Be ready next Tuesday, Pastor Mike Online. It's going to get scary, and I'm going to just encourage you not to let your children watch until you have seen it. And if you want to talk to your young people about it before they watch it, that's fine. You want to talk to them after they watch it or be there with them when they watch it. Some of this stuff's going to be scary, and you know how especially younger children are. They see something like that, they're going to have dreams about it all night. But just remember, greater is He that is in you than he that is in the world.